right. We are officially at the Ask and Beck Liz show. So, welcome. Here we have no topic that is off limits. We want to answer your questions about business, about life, and everything in between. And all you have to do is send an email to ask@beckandliz.com. That's ask@beckandliz.com. We'll take your questions and then we'll pull one out of the hat and we'll answer it in upcoming shows. So, Elizabeth, this is the question for the day.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yep.
So why do people not do what they're supposed to do? Why do they procrastinate?
That's a head scratcher, isn't it? Why do they procrastinate? Why don't they do what they're supposed to do? I think if we knew the clear and defined answer for that, we would have solved a lot of people's problems. But we have theories, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have thoughts. I think one of them is fear of failure. If you don't try, no one can say you failed. With teenagers, it could be, if I don't do the dishes, someone else will do them for me,
I can get out of that.
I can get out of this. I think that applies to everyone across the board in life. If you leave something at work too long, maybe someone else will pick it up. But, it's a huge question, and it's a real problem, because when people don't do, like for me, with the magazine, I rely on writers who say they will do something by a certain time. And if I don't get that by a certain time, and we're in the design phase of the magazine, that causes a real problem. So we either need to get to the bottom of it or decide that this isn't something that person is really interested in doing.
Right.
So what do you have theories about?
Well, it's interesting. A few years back, when I was working for Sendent, which is this massive franchisor with dozens of different brands under it, they brought in this trainer that did leadership training, and he made a comment that has changed my life. And he said, there are only two reasons people do not do what they're supposed to do. Whether, I promise myself I'm going to do exercise today and I don't do it. Or someone's supposed to get you some copy or graphics and they don't do it. So there's only two reasons people don't do one is they don't know how, right? And that we can solve. Right? We can teach them, we can in some way train them. The second reason is they don't wanna. He didn't say want to. They don't wanna.
I don't want to do it, and I'm not going to.
And which brings up, why do they not wanna? And I think you hit on one of them. It's fear of being embarrassed, fear of failure. And the second thing I think is it doesn't have enough value. It's not attached to something that is super important to us, the highest value. We tend to do things and behave in certain ways based on our hierarchy of values. And so if what we have to do isn't amongst those top, 3 to 5 values, we have a tendency to procrastinate. We have a tendency to not wanna.
Right? There's so many things I don't want to do. But I think the thing is, when you feel uncertain, I do a lot of writing for different people. And sometimes if I don't feel like I have a good handle on what's needed, I'll put that one off and do the ones I do know first.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not a problem. If the deadline is well within reason, it's fine. But if it's pushing up on a deadline and I've put that off, now I'm really under stress because I probably should have asked sooner. Hey, I need more information. I don't really get it. I don't understand what you need from me. Or it's a topic just outside of your normal realm. Those things can be intimidating no matter what level of business you're in. So I think sometimes it is that. And the solution for that is be bold enough to ask the question.
Ask, yeah. So that goes back to what the trainer said. Basically, you didn't know how. You didn't know what the expectation was. You didn't have the parameters for whatever. So it's not that you didn't want to. You clearly wanted to, and you have the skills. This was, I don't know how. I don't know the end result. I don't know what to do to get there. So you, like you said, have the courage to reach out and figure out what the expectations are. You and I were talking earlier about that. Sometimes with our employees or children or whatever, they don't do things simply because they don't know exactly what our expectations are of them.
Right. And I think in terms of being the receiver of information, you have to be told information in a way that you understand. So communication, that's why it's so complicated. Not everyone understands things in the same way. The same delivery for one person doesn't work with another person. And I have a whole bunch of different writers who communicate very differently and have some want to know way ahead of time what their topic is for the next issue. Some put it together in a week, it doesn't matter. But learning the nuance of how they work best, I think applies. And I told you the story of when my children were little. I had 3 boys that were 2 years apart. When they were like 3, 5, and 7, or 4, 6, and 8, we would go to the grocery store. And before we got out of the car, every single time I said, all right, here's the expectation. You will be quiet. You will hold hands. You will not grab things off the shelf. You will not run. You will not jump. You will not hug, kiss, touch, or wrestle to the floor. When we get back in the car, do whatever you want. But if I would forget to set those expectations, the behavior throughout the grocery store was dramatically worse. So I began to realize it really does work. And that applies throughout the course of your life. If I set expectations for writers and I try real hard to say, okay, just checking in, you've got a week left. I don't want to wait until the last day. But to be respectful of how they need to receive that information and how far in advance works for them. Because sometimes they just get stressed out not knowing, and they still might not do it until the week before. Right. But they have the peace of mind knowing, and they can be thinking about what it is they've got to do. And it's on them, they're not waiting around on me. So I think learning people's needs is critical when you're leading a team.
Yeah. So clearly communicating the expectations, keeping in mind that who you're working with may have different communication style than we have. So we have to make sure they know what's expected, that they know how to do it, that they want to do it. There's a reason they should be doing it. Maybe that's just for a paycheck. Will ultimately have people not procrastinate and not do. And it's interesting as you're talking about that. What came up for me was this, again, a basic law of psychology, that most of our disappointments come from uncommunicated expectations. So our employees, our spouses, our children are disappointing us, and we're feeling betrayed and hurt and angry. And how is it that they didn't know? And why is this late? But many of those disappointments are coming from uncommunicated expectations. And I think you hit it home when you said, kids, this is what I'm expecting.
It's real simple. Do it. We will get a Hot Wheel on the way out the door.
I'm gonna have to see how I can apply that to my team. You're gonna get a Hot Wheel if you do.
You're gonna get a Hot Wheel. It was $1 at the grocery store, and if they were good, they got a Hot Wheel. That was the reward. But I think one thing we don't think of as leaders of teams is that we have influence over someone's procrastination by setting expectations, by communicating, and instead of just getting frustrated and saying that guy never turns anything in on time, that person always is later,
lets me down,
whatever. Instead of that, maybe you have a conversation and say, I don't think maybe I'm communicating clearly. Let's figure this out. What is the better way for you to work? Does it help me? Should we use Google Drive and I put you a list? Should I email it to you more directly? Do we put it on a calendar? You tell me how you need to receive it and I will give it to you that way. And that makes everybody feel a little bit more in control, I think.
And accountable. As long as we have that one other factor, which is they want to do it, right? That there's some reason, intrinsic reason that they want to do it.
And if they don't, they just need to have
then we help them. We help them exit.
Exactly.
All right. I love how we solve the world's problems in just a matter of 10 minutes, Elizabeth, but we do need to sign off. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships are forged. This is Beck and Liz signing off and wishing you another purpose-filled and profitable week.